news, except me, of course. Everyone in the news is missing what the real story is with the Maine ballot issue with Trump. Everyone's talking about it and everything else. And when I go on the air in just seconds, I'm going to share with you what the real issue is with that everyone is missing. It is showtime. Here we go. It's the Steve Kane Show with Craig. All right. All right. It is Friday already, the Friday after Christmas, the last Friday of 2023. It's December 29th, 2023. My name is Brian Craig, and of course, this is Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 46 years on the radio, and starting Monday, that will change to 47 years on the radio, which is absolutely amazing. We've got a lot to cover on the program today, and we're going to jump right into it. Now, this story about Trump being taken off of the ballot in Maine, there is a big piece of the puzzle that no one in the media has connected. Okay, they don't even know that there's a puzzle piece to connect. Everyone's talking about what's happening in Maine, which is a terrible thing, which we'll talk about. But the reason that it happened yesterday is what no one has picked up on, except, of course, me, which I'm going to share with you right now. And, I told you guys right after January 6th, what they're going to do in the next election, I told you this, it's been years now, I said they're going to do that Lincoln strategy the Democrats used. They're going to do everything they could do to keep Trump off the ballot in as many places as possible. Okay, they're doing this in primaries. Now, the reason they're doing this, and I'll get to what everyone's missing in just a bit. This is not the part everyone's missing I'm in right now. But what they're doing with this is not the general election, of course. These are primaries that they're messing around with. And what they're doing with taking Trump off the ballots, they know this is not going to hold up. They know he did not only not take part in an insurrection, he was cleared in every proceeding. I mean, he just didn't. Okay? So none of it's going to hold up. But what they're trying to do, the Uniparty, remember, the Republican establishment is working with the Democrats. They're trying to cause confusion in the Republican primary so that when the convention comes around, the delegates are not already known. They want to have confusion among the delegates to have a brokered convention, okay? Now, this latest thing in Maine was a part of that plan, but they did it a little early, and I'll tell you why they did it. They did it because of Nikki Haley. You know, the powers that be have accepted the Trump nomination, and they've accepted Trump's re-election in 2024. They all have. Everyone has. The Democrats, the Republicans. They're not saying this, but they've accepted it. There's been a big push in the last 2 weeks. In the last week, it's really been heating up to get President Trump to pick Nikki Haley to be Vice President or Secretary of State. And what they've done is they've realized this is it. He's going to get the nomination. He's going to win the general election, but he only has one term left, and they're making plans for 2028. And their plans are Nikki Haley for 2028. And it'll make it easier for them to get her the nomination if she's either vice president or Secretary of State. Although, when's the last time a Secretary of State became president? That used to be like a stepping stone to the presidency in the 1800s. But that's what their plan is, and they want to use this brokered convention to do that. Now, Maine, this is the part that no one's picked up on that I'm going to share with you. Yesterday, Nikki Haley was on her way to being put out to retirement from politics for the rest of her life. If you caught my podcast last night, which you should, the Brian Craig Show podcast, named the number 3 must-listen-to conservative podcast in America multiple years in a row. Number 1 is Mark Levin. Number 2 is Glenn Beck. And number 3, The Brian Craig Show Podcast. You can look this up yourself online. And the Brian Craig Show Podcast is on all podcast platforms, and I upload it to my YouTube channel as well. Okay? Brian Craig Show on YouTube. I did a very detailed podcast last night on what happened with Nikki Haley yesterday, which you will not want to miss, with all the sound bites and everything that I'm not going to play on the air this morning. But Nikki Haley, about half a dozen times yesterday, tried to do damage control on that Civil War comment. And every time she did, she made it worse. She even had children making fun of her. And then her being asked that question 13 years ago in 2010 came up, and she had the same stupid answer she had at the town hall in New Hampshire. She was about to be out of the race and out of politics forever. And she is the Republican never-Trumper establishment's only hope left for 2028. So they want her to be vice president with Trump. They want her to be Secretary of State or another very prominent position. So they got this dingbat in Maine, an unelected Secretary of State, by the way. They got this dingbat in Maine to come out and say Trump's not going to be on the ballot. Now, you know, this primary in Maine is not until March. It's months away. They did this early. And what was the purpose of that? The purpose was to get the spotlight off of Nikki Haley and change the news cycle. Yesterday afternoon, when this came out, Nikki Haley was on the ropes. It was about over for her. And yeah, it was about over for her. If things would have continued, by next week, she may have dropped out of the race. It was getting bad. And then this story out of Maine dropped, and boom, the news cycle has already changed. It's been forgotten. So they had this dingbat in Maine do this earlier than they were planning. It was part of their plan, but earlier than they were planning to change the news cycle. And mission accomplished. They did that. But that's the part everyone's missing. This was a Hail Mary to save Nikki Haley, and it worked. In fact, Fox News, before this happened yesterday, they were defending Nikki Haley. They were praising Nikki Haley for her brilliant response at that town hall. I'm not kidding. Listen to my podcast last night, after 9 o'clock. Don't listen to it now. After 9 o'clock. So that's what's going on here. This is another ploy by the uniparty never-Trumpers to stop Trump. Now, we're going to take our first break of the day. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines.
It's hot. I got to turn the air conditioning down. It's like 80 degrees in here. Be right back.
This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
What do you guys think about my theory to change the news cycle off of Nikki Haley? Oh, yeah, this is a beautiful studio we have. Thank you, Phil. Oh, I'm looking. I've got to get ready for the next segment. There we go. Yeah, they ripped me off of my coffee. They didn't even give me a full cup of coffee. My goodness. We'll be back shortly, guys. I'll get into more of what's going on here with Nikki Haley. If you love Trump, press 1, guys. Let me see some Trump love in there. Press 1 if you love Trump. I love Trump. Absolutely. I know you guys do too.
95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at True Oldies F.
All right, coming up on 18 minutes after the hour, you know, this is the final Open Phone Friday of 2023. So, yeah, it's Open Phones on Friday. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. Any and everything you have on your mind is fair game on Friday's show. You're not limited to the topics that we bring up, all right? Our number's toll free, 1-888-GO-KANE, 1-888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. I want to do an addition to the recorded message with me during the break from Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting, who will never sell you a roof you do not need. You know, we talk all the time. If there's a wet spot on your ceiling, you've got a leak in your roof, and if you don't take care of that tiny leak becomes a medium leak, then it becomes a bigger leak, and then you got a big old problem. And Steve, this is how we found Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting. Steve had a wet spot on his ceiling. He ignored it. It got bigger, and it caused all kinds of problems. And he had leaks all over his roof, coming through the ceiling into his house. I mean, he had more buckets than you could imagine in that place. It was crazy. And Tom Laporta went over to Steve's house, because Steve ignored his leaky roof, the rain, it seeped down into his walls and into the drywall. 40% of Steve's house had deadly black mold in it. So Steve had to get a new roof, 40% of the drywall in his home replaced, and because all that moisture was there for so long, it was a breeding ground for termites. His home was infested with termites who were eating his home, and that was a big expense. All that could have been avoided if he would have called Tom Laporta when he saw that first wet spot on the ceiling, just the size of a coin. Tom Laporta would have done just a simple repair, and that would have been it. Now, the home looks beautiful, and Tom Laporta did a great job, by the way, replacing the drywall, replacing the roof. Steve's house is the showpiece on his street now, but he could have avoided all of that and had just a simple repair. So Tom Laporta, give him a call. He works on all types of structures, single-family homes, condos, HOAs, apartment buildings, businesses, warehouses, churches, municipal buildings, and he works with every type of roofing material there is. This number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone, 954-604-4602. He also covers the entire state of Florida. 954-604-4602, and online, LaportaContracting.com. All right, so this Nikki Haley plan that they're pushing on Trump to pick her to be VP, I know everyone's saying, I'll never vote for her, even as VP, and Tucker Carlson even said that if Trump were to pick Nikki Haley as his running mate, he would not vote for Trump, and he would advocate that people don't, because of her military-industrial complex connections. But think about all of you out there who say, I would not vote for her as vice president. Really, you're telling me, you honestly expect people to believe that you're going to drop the greatest president ever, Donald Trump, and not support him because Nikki Haley is his running mate? I wouldn't like it, but I'd vote for him still. And I'd worry about 2028 when it got here. Okay, we're losing our country. I got gas today, regular unleaded, $3.89 a gallon. Right? $3.89 a gallon. And, oh, that's low. No, it was $1.57 a gallon on Trump's last day of his first term. Okay? So, and the boy, all that. I don't have to go through with the problems. You know the problems. So is that really going to stop you? Is that going to stop MAGA from voting for Trump if Nikki Haley were his running mate? No, it wouldn't. I mean, we can all be all butch and act like it would. We wouldn't be happy with it. I mean, we would pick, if he had Hillary Clinton as his running mate, you'd vote for him. And I would too, because we're voting for Trump. And we would worry about 2028 when 2028 got here. Okay? So that's what's going on in Maine. That's it. And it's going to happen in other states. This is what President Trump is going to be dealing with for the rest of his life. And in his second term, he has a mandate with the American people, but not with the powers that be. It's never going to happen. He's a threat to their power. He's a threat to their control. And they're also afraid that he's going to find an independent person like himself, independently wealthy, that can't be bought or compromised, that'll become president after him. So they're never going to do anything but try to undermine him. And they're setting things up for 2028. He's only got one term left. That's what they're doing. So we're going to have to get used to this. And it's a sad, sick reality, but that's what's been going on. And what you think about it, President Trump came down the escalator 8 years ago. Right? I mean, my goodness, it's been a decade that they've been going after him. And, you watch the mainstream media, and they keep talking about Trump in his second term, he's a threat to democracy. Meanwhile, they're taking him off ballots, but he's the threat to democracy. And then he's going to be on this revenge tour and locking up his enemies. There's been a lot of people doing a lot of crime since Trump came down the escalator, and it's ongoing. So bringing these outlaws to justice is not revenge. It's part of saving our country, because what they've been doing since he came down the escalator is illegal. I mean, the first known instance we have of them doing something illegal against him, the first known instance that I can think of, if there's another one, let me know, but the first one was the dossier and the wiretap on Trump Tower. The wiretap on Trump Tower, I think, was probably the first one we knew about. Okay? Now, Nikki Haley would be worse than Pence, because Nikki Haley has the backing of the Republican establishment. And I don't want her to be anywhere near Trump. But the powers that be are pushing for it harder than you realize. There's so much money in war, and these evildoers in the military-industrial complex donor class that own Nikki Haley, you know how much money they made on the war on terror that went on for 20 years? Think about it. 20 years that went on. And that stopped now. And ever since the botched Afghan withdrawal, they've been trying to bring more war. Biden just said another $250 million to Ukraine. It's the last money they get unless Congress passes funding. Do you have any belief, any confidence that the Republican House is not going to pass more funding to Ukraine? Of course they are. Until Trump's back in the White House, it's going to continue. They're going to get us in the third freaking world war with Russia. It's only a matter of time before there's a helicopter with U.S. service personnel shot down by the Russians somewhere. You see what they're doing? They're having minor skirmishes with Iran right now. That's just getting us accustomed to it, and eventually something big's going to happen. And then boom, the military-industrial complex have their war again that they miss after the 20-year war on terror ended. All right? I mean, that's it. It's a monster that feeds itself only on war. President Trump is the only president since the Second World War to not start a new conflict. And coincidentally, he's the one that's not owned by the donors. All the others have. Think about that. Even Eisenhower got us in Vietnam. Okay? So, yeah. All right, we'll take our break for the bottom of the hour. There's much more to discuss. A lot more has happened in the news. We're going to cover a lot on the program today. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 46 years on the radio. I know, that is absolutely amazing. And so there are people in this audience that have been with The Steve Kane Show that long. I'm not kidding. It amazes me, some of the references people make that listen to this show. We'll take our break and be right back.
Making morning radio great again. I think you're going to really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
No, Eisenhower sent the first advisors to Vietnam. Okay, I'm just reading up on this Secretary of State. Oh my goodness. All right, welcome back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Okay, so this dingbat Secretary of State in Maine, she did a bunch of interviews yesterday. This is one from MSNBC.
I'm looking forward to certainty. My job as Secretary of State is to make sure that Coloradans have great elections, Republicans, Democrats, and unaffiliateds alike.
Oh wait, that's the dingbat in Colorado. Hold on, let me get the Maine one. Okay, this is the Maine. How many? Are women running everything, by the way? What got women running all these things? That's the dingbat Colorado Secretary of State. This is the dingbat Maine Secretary of State.
This decision is based on Maine law and the facts that were presented to me in the Section 336 challenge. It was really important to me to look at the evidence presented in the public hearing and the law and the facts presented in the context of Maine law, sections 336, 337, and 443. It's a very detailed decision. We lay out why under Maine law, the Secretary of State has the authority, indeed the obligation, I'm duty bound to make this determination. Laid out that the record demonstrates that, in fact, the events of January 6, 2021, which were unprecedented and tragic, were an insurrection in the meaning of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. And finally, in reviewing the facts presented, the evidence, the law, the history, we determined under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment that Mr. Trump engaged in insurrection and therefore was disqualified.
Okay, so anytime you hear a Democrat talking about the Constitution, they're burning it, they're tearing it up, okay, when they hide behind the Constitution. So that's what she said, a bunch of legalese and gobbledygook. And I was just reading this dingbat's background. I'll just go through a little of this, okay? This is Bellows, this is the Maine Secretary of State, and she wants to preserve democracy just coincidentally by removing the front runner who happens to be in the opposition party to her from the ballot. That's how you preserve democracy. All right? Listen to this. She was executive director of the ACLU in Maine for 8 years. Okay? She was leader of Mariners United for Marriage for 7 years to pass same-sex marriage in Maine. She was a leader with Protect Maine Votes to restore same-day voter registration. She did a lot of work at the ACLU. She worked with the Maine Choice Coalition. Okay. She worked at AmeriCorps. She started out in the Peace Corps. And then you look at her positions are your standard left-wing lunatic positions. She's pro-abortion. She says she's a strong advocate for women's health care and reproductive freedom, including access to abortion and contraception. Let me tell you, when it comes to reproduction in this country, okay, I'm talking about sex, women have more freedom than men, because a woman, no matter what she looks like, can walk out of her front door and find a man within 30 seconds to have sex with her. That sounds like reproductive freedom to me. How many men can do that? So I don't know what she's talking about. She wants to decrease subsidies for farmers. She opposed Citizen United, which was campaign. She's opposed to the death penalty for murderers of people that are adults. She's not opposed to the death penalty of children inside the womb. Let's see here. She supports federal regulation to limit greenhouse gas emissions and to combat climate change. She's against the Second Amendment. She supported Obamacare. She wants to raise the minimum wage. Yeah, look at that story out in California. Pizza Hut just fired like all these delivery drivers because of the raise of minimum wage. She wants to increase taxes on the rich. Blah blah blah. Typical left-wing lunatic positions, right? See, this is what she is. She's in this lowly little office that she was not elected to. She tried to run for the Senate, lost. She's Secretary of State as an appointed position, not an elected position. And if you go through her resume, every job that this dingbat has is just biding her time to get the next highest level job. And she's had a lot of failure. She's run for office and lost multiple times. So the reason she's doing this is not to protect the Constitution or Section 3 point whatever, that she's citing, all these sections she's citing. She's trying to get a Senate seat, a House seat. She wants to have a major political office position in Washington. She's doing all this for a political payoff. That's how these people are. Don't let them even begin. Once you're defending that Trump didn't lead or take part in an insurrection, you're playing in their ballpark. Fact is, Trump is ahead of Biden in most every poll, and most particular, he's beating Biden in the swing states. Remember last week I had that poll. A lot of you might have been off for Christmas, but President Trump is leading Biden in a head-to-head in the battleground states. And the Democrats have some trouble because Bobby Kennedy is going to be on some of those ballots, taking votes away from Biden. So that's what this is all about. And they go to these low-level people, like these judges in Colorado. Why did they do it? Well, some of those judges in Colorado would like to get federal appointments. Maybe they have fantasies of being on the Supreme Court. I don't know. Even federal judges want to get promoted to higher courts, appellate courts, Supreme Court. So you have a lot of Democrats that they do, and if you look at the Secretary of State in Maine and you go through her resume, you know what's missing from her resume? A real job. She's been an activist or government worker her entire life. Okay? That's it. No, so all she cares about is elevating herself and doing what she has to do to get to the next job, and that's what she's doing, and that's what they're all doing. All this talk we had about the Civil War yesterday with the stupidity of Nikki Haley. The Civil War, properly named, is the Democrat insurrection against the federal government. In fact, during the Civil War, if you read some of the diaries, sometimes they call them insurrectionists. Sometimes. But it's the Democrat insurrection against the federal government. That's what the Civil War was. And I think a good case could be made that Democrat insurrection that started in 1860 is still going on. It never ended. And that's what a lot of this is going on right here and right now. And it's a frightening thing. And here's the thing, okay? What they're doing, while it is wrong, everyone puts everything into the Supreme Court. When it comes to these primaries and these ballots, the Supreme Court is not the final decider. I told you this after Colorado. What the Uniparty is trying to do, because don't think that this is not the Democrats. This is the Republicans and the Democrats together that are doing all these things. They're trying to cause confusion in the Republican primary process. Regardless of what the Supreme Court rules, and hopefully, and chances are, they'll rule in Trump's favor. Okay? But it's all up to who prints the ballots. And you go to a state, even a small state, how many different ballots are there? Here I'm in Palm Beach County. How many precincts are there in Palm Beach County? And how many different ballots because of state house and state senate races or a commissioner or, something like that, right? Whoever prints the ballots is going to be the decider of whether or not Trump is on them, not the Supreme Court of the United States. Okay? That's the reality. And if there's a few precincts in some of these states that he's not on the ballot because of the printing, and it's too close to the primary to fix the ballots and update the ballots, when you go to the convention, the delegates for that state are not firmed up. There's a question going on there. So the Uniparty are trying to create primary chaos to force either a brokered convention or to try to bully Trump into picking Nikki Haley to be his running mate or Secretary of State so they can set her up for 2028. That's what's going on. So when everyone says, well, the Supreme Court will decide, it's up to the guy who's getting the ballots printed and then the guy who prints them. That's who the final decider is. And I promise you, there's corrupt Democrats at every level in these liberal states with that process. Now, if you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take our last break of the first hour. There's a lot to cover. But again, Friday is open phones, open MAGA Mike Friday. You can call in about any and everything you have on your mind. You're not limited to the topics that we bring up, okay? Although I would like to hear your comments on what I brought up, because I thought I've laid out a very good thesis here on the current situation with what just happened in Maine. Our number 1-888-GO-CANE 1 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be back right after this.
Cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show. Happy holidays from the city. This statewide Kia sales event will be held at 1 City Kia, just off the Florida Turnpike. Drive a little, save a lot. We deliver anywhere from Orlando to
Mookie, yes, we can see you, Mookie.
celebrate this holiday season in a new City Kia. City Kia is the #1 Kia value dealer in all of Central Florida. The City Kia deal is nobody. Save up to $8,000 on a new City Kia. Upside down on your trade. Just for $5,000 over KBB. Fair market value. Wheels from only $59.99. Rates as low as 0.9%. Kia Telluride.
We'll be back in just a minute, guys. Oh, goodness, guys. These uniparty snakes. We'll be back in 45 seconds. All right, callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian, it's the Steve Kane Show. There are some New Year's specials at MyPillow.com that are incredible deals. I'm going to go through them real quick. And there's 3, and I happen to have all of them. And for those that, people ask me this sometimes. They say, does Mike Lindell ever send you stuff for free? Everything I have, I've bought with the promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E. On occasion, Mike will have his secretary, assistant, there aren't secretaries anymore, call and say, hey, would you like to have this or that? And I already have it. I already have it. She's like, really? Yeah. She's like, did we send this to you already? I said, no, I bought it. It's such a good deal. Now, these 3 New Year's specials are amazing, okay? One, the MyPillow 2.0 with temperature regulating technology, 50% off with our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E. Your head, your face, your neck will never get hot again. You'll never turn the pillow over, flip it over for the cool side. I've been sleeping on the MyPillow 2.0. It'll be a year almost, right? I got it the week we got back from the cruise in February, and it's amazing. It's amazing. The 6-piece MyPillow, the MyPillow towel set. I'm behind on my coffee, guys. Okay, the 6-piece MyPillow towel set. Just $29.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout, KANE. In fact, my wife and I, we ordered another pack, another set of the MyPillow towels because of this deal is so good for New Year's. Just $29.98 with the promo code Kane. And the MyPillow flannel sheets, I have 2 sets of these. They are spectacular. They come in multiple colors. They come in solids and even patterns. And those are 50% off the MyPillow flannel sheets, which will keep you warm and toasty all winter long. Now, again, you can take advantage of all the specials there with our promo code Kane, but these are the New Year's specials. The MyPillow 2.0, 50% off. The 6-piece MyPillow towel set, just $29.98. And the MyPillow flannel sheets, 50% off with the promo code Kane at checkout, KANE, at MyPillow.com. You can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane, Kane. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Oh, hey, Mike.
You know, this was a panic move because they needed to get Nikki Haley off the front pages, right?
Yes.
This was a panic move. They didn't want this to happen right now, I'll bet you. They wanted to wait to as close as the date before this woman did what she did. Mm-hmm. Because of Nikki Haley, because of the whole thing with the slavery issue and all that stuff that came up with Nikki Haley again. So
absolutely,
they want her as a vice president or a secretary of state, right?
Yeah, I heard somebody on the radio saying that very thing like 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, and that's the thing. These people, I would suggest you go and read her after the show. Read her screed. I can't believe some of the stuff she's saying in particular states.
Oh, I'm not interested in reading her statements. But hey, Mike, I'm back in Louisiana. I appreciate the call. Look at this. Now, look at this. Blinken and Mayorkas, they went to Mexico, right? And this headline is insane to me. This is insane. They're not even hiding what they're doing. Listen to this. Blinken and Mayorkas fly to Mexico to discuss amnesty for the millions of illegal migrants in the United States. What do you mean amnesty? Why do you give them amnesty? Why would you give them amnesty? You know, this amnesty business started back. President Reagan was a great man, but every great man except Donald Trump makes mistakes. And Ronald Reagan granted amnesty to how many illegals? And that was the beginning of it. But why would you give amnesty to all these people? I saw the Chicago mayor talking about amnesty and a pathway to citizenship. Yeah, I keep hearing this. There already is a pathway to citizenship. Melania, Trump took that path, and many others took that path. There are multiple paths to citizenship. Jumping over the border illegally should not be one of them. And, you know, what's going on at the southern border, we've been talking about it a lot this week because we've never seen numbers like this. And I don't like talking this way, but it's got to be said. They're trying to reduce the white majority in this country. It's a fact. The Democrat Party have sat around and said, why aren't we losing? And they finally said to themselves, white people. And if we bring in non-white people, okay, then we'll have power forever. They're getting in our way, all these white MAGA people. So this great replacement theory is more than a theory. I think it's a fact at this point. Is it not? I mean, is that not what they're doing? And it's a long game. You know, as I've been pointing out the last couple weeks on the program, 4 points, and this is so important, and you guys should share this with everyone you know about this, okay? Under Biden's failed presidency, they have averaged 4.6 million illegals entering the country. That does not include the babies in the womb. 4.6 million a year, illegals. The birth rate in this country, that last year, 3.6 million babies born. So illegals are coming here at a greater rate than babies are being born. Think about that. There were 3.4 million deaths last year. So our birth rate is barely above the death rate, and we're getting overrun by 1 million more illegals coming here. It's many more than that because a lot more of these women are pregnant, and they get pregnant. If they're not pregnant, their number one priority is to get pregnant once they get here. And that's the great replacement theory. I hate to say it like that because I know how it sounds to liberals, and you don't want to give them something to, but it's true. I mean, what would the other reason be? If the replacement theory is not what's going on down there, what is? Is there an alternate theory? AOC, she's talking about colonizers. All these liberals talking about colonizers. Really? If we're colonizers, why are these illegals not colonizers? Are they not colonizing America? It's hard to say. Right? Of course they are. These are all things to hide behind because they're anger at white men. They want, the leftists don't want men involved. I was watching, there's this show that I watch on Apple TV with Kurt Russell, this new Godzilla show, Monarch. You guys know this show? And I love Kurt Russell. And I like this show. It's a pretty good show. And, there's military units in this show. The leader of every military unit is a woman leading soldiers in the battle. The leader of every organization is a woman, bossing weird and wimpy men around, and none of them, by the way, are, except one, is white. There's a big move on the left to rid our society of white people, in particular white men. And if that's not what's going on at the southern border, I don't know what other possibility there is. I would like there to be another reason, but I can't think of one, and I doubt anybody else can either. Escaping climate change. This thing about sea levels rising and climate change, okay? When there is an island that is inhabited by people where they live and work that has to be evacuated because of rising seas, then we can talk, okay? I've done, and maybe I'll do this again. I haven't done this in a long time. I've done scientific sea level studies here in Florida. We're on a peninsula. We're surrounded on three sides, right, by oceans. And I always do this with my own yardstick. Al Gore's got his yardstick. I've got one that's real, and it's actually very good. And I've done this several times, although I've not done it in a couple years. And maybe I'll do it soon when the weather's better. But I used the movie Where the Boys Are, which was filmed in Fort Lauderdale, on Fort Lauderdale Beach in 1960. Okay, so that's 63 years ago. And I go to the parts of the beach where they filmed the movie at in 1960, 63 years ago. And I show the beach and the ocean and the road and the buildings then and now. And there's one landmark, there's one building that's in the movie that is still there today. It's the Elbow Room on Las Olas and A1A. And I always start there and I show it all. You can do the same thing in Miami Beach with episodes of Miami Vice and Scarface. And believe it or not, I mean, Miami Vice was like 83. So, you've got like almost 50 years with that. You got 30 good years that you can go with that. And with Where the Boys Are, I got 63 years. All this climate change, refugee stuff are lies. Okay? Where is the devastation of the climate in Latin America that has them fleeing here? Have they shown it to us? If it existed, certainly they would show it to us. And so far as, the government of Venezuela, The governments in South America have always been third world dictators that, either working with Nazis or drug cartels, okay? There's never been really a truly functional, legitimate society in Latin America. It's always been third world and corrupt. And that's never going to change. It's the South American culture. So all these things that they say they're fleeing for are nonsense. They're setting them up in a life of retirement here. I mean, that's just the way it is. And I know a lot of people say, well, a couple thousand a month and free housing. These people, they don't even have running water. They don't have paved roads where they come from. So living in an area that you wouldn't even drive through, that's like being rich to them. They got their EBT cards. Their kids are in school. That's their daycare. Their kids will get a free college education too, probably. They got their Section 8 housing. Boom. They're set. They're retired. They're living the American dream. That's what's going on. And all these things are going to be stopped on a dime when Trump comes back. And that is what has them in a state of panic beyond imagination. Oh my goodness, guys. I know. You know, all this rain and everything that's been going on. Are you driving on tires that are bald? You need to get over to Friendly Tire in Margate. Get new tires on your car. Now, he has thousands of used tires in stock at great prices. But the new tires are the lowest prices you'll find everywhere. All the name brands you know and love. Pirelli, Firestone. He has run flats too. At prices lower than you'll find anywhere else. When you call Mike at Friendly Tire and he gives you a price over the phone, that's out the door and out on the road. He doesn't charge you to balance the tire, mount the tire, or dispose of your old tires. There's no other fees. So keep that in mind when you call and he gives you a price. That's out the door and on the road. He's also open on Saturdays and does tire repairs. Give him a call, 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire. 954-977-9445. Make sure you tell him you heard about him from me, okay, on the Steve Kane Show. We'll take our break for the top of the hour. There's much more to cover. We'll be back. Our number 1-888-GO-KANE-1 after this break.
WWNN Pompano Beach. WIRK HD3 Indiantown. Programming paid for by Canales Media Group. Broadcasting from the Rome Studio. Injured recently? Call the Rome.
now is Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Mr. Mayor, thanks very much for joining us. I wonder if you also feel
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course. I wonder if you echo this sentiment, if you also feel like Chicago is being ignored on this front from the federal government.
Show.
Well, since taking office a little bit over 7 months ago, my administration has responded to this humanitarian mission with the full force of government. We have roughly 15,000 people living in shelters, temporary shelters here in Chicago, nearly 27 shelters total, 4,500 children in our Chicago public schools system, providing health care, and also making sure that we are screening individuals as they come through the city of Chicago.
Here we go.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with...
All right, welcome back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. I was just reading during the break some of the updates on all this swatting that's going on. Marjorie Taylor Greene, her kids were swatted too. A lieutenant governor somewhere was swatted. Our former governor, who was a very good governor, and now he's one of our great senators, Senator Scott here in Florida. He was swatted at his home in Naples. I saw a Republican on TV last night who was swatted in Ohio. He was talking about what happened. This is what's... First off, it doesn't say much for the police to fall for all this stupidity, all right? I'm sorry. Come on. They get a call like this to Marjorie Taylor Greene's house again, or a senator, United States senator, or a lieutenant governor, and they do this. The police should not be in. I hate to say this, but the liberals were right about one thing. There's too much militarization going on in the police. When I was growing up, my grandfather was a police officer, and he had one of those old-fashioned police uniforms and everything. Now you can hardly tell they're cops. They're all wearing vests that have all these things all over them and everything, and they look ridiculous. They got too much military hardware. And I think they enjoy this swatting thing a little. I think, quite honestly, I think they enjoy getting out and getting the AR-15s out and going on these raids. All right, they get a little bit overhanded, just like these no-knock warrants. Really, they really need to do no-knock warrants. Can't they wait for the person to come out to the parking lot of the apartment building and then grab them, as opposed to breaking through the door and starting a gunfight? This is. But regardless, these swatting incidents, which I don't hold just the police responsible. I mean, how can they fall for this stupidity over and over again? Right? How can they fall for it? And I haven't heard anybody talk about that aspect of it. But the more immediate problem, the swatting of these Republicans that's going on is one person or group probably, and the purpose of swatting is to try to get someone killed, and it has happened. It has happened. There have been people. There was an incident with some gamers a few years ago, and a gamer swatted another, and someone was shot and killed, a completely innocent person. It is dangerous. When these swatting incidents happen, it's not just a couple police cars rolling up on a house. They actually bring out the AR-15s. They bring out the SWAT teams. They have guns drawn. They have guns out of the holster. Okay? And it's very, very dangerous. And while these stories are being reported, they're not really being reported properly. There's an epidemic going on here. You mean to tell me, in this day and age, with all the technology and all the tracking that this government has, that they have not made one arrest in any of these swatting incidents? The reason, I bet you, I would not be surprised if the FBI are not even investigating it, because they're Republicans. And some of them, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Senator Scott, are MAGA. Okay? So they're not really interested. They probably think they just brought it upon themselves for spewing so much hate. Do you think the FBI is if these were Democrats that were getting swatted every other weekend, do you think that would get coverage in the media? Do you think the FBI would be all over it? Do you think an arrest would be made? Of course it would have been made by now. There'd be a nationwide manhunt. And anyone who thinks they don't have the ability to trace those calls, you're kidding yourself. Of course they do. They don't care, and they don't want to. Because Republicans, in particular MAGA Republicans, are domestic terrorists. Isn't that how they talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene? And it's only a matter of time before someone gets hurt if this continues. And, these MAGA Republicans that are getting swatted, these are gun owners. It doesn't take much for something to go wrong, especially when you have trigger-happy cops. And I say trigger-happy because they get a call to go to Marjorie Taylor Greene's house and they gear up and go. No one says, well, wait a minute, we've already been to that house twice, 3 times. What are we going back for? Right? The way they're handling these things, the police, is not really professional. I'm sorry. I know as Republicans we support law and order and everything, but come on. Anything that is government is by nature incompetent. Those who gravitate towards government jobs typically are people that are incompetent at some level. I'm not saying all police are, but the ones that are doing this over and over, certainly there's some issues there. And while the stories are all getting reported, why are the FBI not making arrests? Why don't we have suspects? The swatting incident where someone was killed a couple years back, they got it wasn't even a famous person. They got those people, and they got them quick. And there was a trial and everything else. So no, I don't buy that they can't track down with all of these different calls. They just aren't interested. Now I was watching. It's another story here before we break. Then I'll get back to the main story. The Chicago mayor was on CNN yesterday talking about reparations again. Reparations are it's such a stupid conversation to have. I mean, give me a break. If we had some living slaves, then we could talk, okay? But there are no living slaves. But he said something that's stupid. But hey, he's a Democrat. The mayor of Chicago was on CNN yesterday, and he said reparations will help decrease violent crime in Chicago. Are you kidding me? Now, I don't know how much he thinks reparations should be. He didn't give a dollar amount. But if reparations were given to all the black people in the high crime areas of Chicago, you really think that would slow down violent crime? It would, in fact, it'd have the opposite effect. It would increase violent crime because the guys that are doing the crime now, they'd have their money. Oh, yeah. But they would know everybody else in town had it too. And a lot of these people would have it in cash at home. Or they'd go out on a lottery-winning spending spree and load up their house with all kinds of goodies to steal. So to sit around and say that reparations are going to decrease crime, it would have an opposite effect. It would have a major increase in violent crime. Listen to this. On Wednesday's broadcast of CNN's interview with Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, he responded to a question on an uptick in most violent crime categories in Chicago last year by stating that homicides and shootings have fallen and money for restoration and reparations will help address the cycle of violence in the city. what I've built in these last 7 months is to have a better, stronger, and safer Chicago. Are you kidding me? It's safer? Do you know why shootings are down right now in Chicago? It's seasonal. It's because it's cold. It's the winter time. And have you ever been to Chicago in the wintertime? Let me tell you, that wind that comes off Lake Michigan will kill you if you're not used to it. Us Floridians, we wouldn't be able to survive it. Once the winter is over, every year, it's very seasonal. Once the winter is over, first day, boom, 30 to 55 shootings instantly, because they got a lot of payback that's been building up over the winter. Okay, the murderers and gangbangers in Chicago hibernate over the winter. That's why shootings are down this time of year. All right, we're going to take our first break of the second hour. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Back after this.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at TrueOldiesFLA.com.
All right, we are back. I'm Brian. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. 1-888-GO-KANE-1 is our number. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yeah, you're on the air. I'm doing. Okay, how are you doing? Okay.
All right, I'd just like to know, Brian, you know, you're a great historian.
Oh, yes.
I'd just like to know why Trump smells.
Really? What does he smell like?
They're talking about how he smells.
No, you said Trump smells. What does he smell like? What's the smell?
They're saying, I
Who's they? Who's they?
I'm saying Diane Finkelstein drowning.
No. Who's the they? You say they say. Slow down for a second here with this fake voice. Who's the they? Who? Diane Finkelstein? Who is Diane Finkelstein? Who is, excuse me, oh my goodness. Who is Diane Finkelstein? Who's Diane Finkelstein?
The senator.
Senator Diane Finkelstein? Are you pulling my leg?
And I think I'm just saying, but Trump do smell.
Smells like what? I know, it's funny, isn't it? Really? You've been close enough. Excuse me. I heard the laughter in the background. Someone thinks you're funny. So you've been. Who's that person next to you that's giggling? No. Hold on. I'm not interested in Trump right now. Put the person on the phone next to you that's giggling. Give the phone to the person giggling next to you. That sounds like a girl.
Talking to you. I'm on the line.
No, you're not on the line. You were on the line. Oh my goodness. This is great. Yeah, I'm telling you, the Open Phone Friday is really I'm going to give it. It's the holiday period, but this is the third Open Phone Friday in a row where the calls have just been in another level. You know what happens, and I'll tell you what this is. Whenever it's the summertime and over holiday periods, the kids are out of school, so you hear from you hear from young people, you hear from kids, and that's what they do. I don't know. I miss the callers that had talent and would like challenge us and such. But I guess those days are gone. Oh, now let me tell you about Lighthouse Medical Center. Oh man, if you or someone you know have neuropathy, take them over to Lighthouse Medical Center. Call and make the appointment for them. It's a no-charge consultation if you tell Lighthouse Medical you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show, okay? So if somebody is suffering from neuropathy, I don't have to tell you. It's living torture. I've seen it in people. And I've seen both in Steve and listeners of this program before and after they've had their neuropathy treatment at Lighthouse Medical. Their treatment works. If you can't make it into the office, that's okay. No matter where you're located, around Florida or America, they can help you. Even if you're in town and you can't make it into the office, they understand that if you have neuropathy, it may be hard. You may not be able to drive. It may be hard for you to get to the office. So even if you're local and you can't make it into the office, give them a call and schedule your consultation over the phone. They can still help you. They will rid you of your neuropathy symptoms. I've seen it happen in Steve and many of our listeners. It works. Here's their number, 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. Again, make sure you tell them so you can take advantage of that no-charge consultation. But, here's the thing about, this thing with the last caller. Liberal people, this is not new. It's always been this way with liberals. At least since I've been doing this. Liberals are always vacuous and have nothing but meaningless talking points that they can never back. I mean, that one's just stupid. This thing that he smells. I mean, I think Adam Kinzinger or somebody started that one on Twitter. That's what liberals are always about. It's about a narrative, and it's most often a false narrative. And the situation in Maine, this is going to continue. Any state where Democrats have power, it's going to continue. And it's going to continue even at lower levels. Every state is different on how their election system operates, okay? But in Florida, we have supervisors of elections that are elected in each county. They're going to go to supervisors of elections and get them to take Trump off ballots. This is never going to end. And, I don't get as jazzed up about it because this is just like another day in the world of Trump. And we know it's not going to hold up. And I'll tell you, the way that Republicans are handling this is insane. Republican establishment control the primary process. You can't trust the Republican establishment. Of course, they're never Trumpers. But the primaries in the Republican Party are not like the general federal election. This is an internal party thing for the nominating convention, okay? And if they were applying this Civil War law properly, it would not even apply to the primaries. It would apply to the federal election. This is not a federal election. This is an internal primary process. It doesn't even have to happen. Vivek Ramaswamy was on Fox yesterday talking to McEnany. And Ramaswamy said the Republican Party should just cancel the Republican primary in Maine. And I agree with him. They probably should. Until this is reversed, of course. But I'm not a lawyer. I don't have to be a lawyer to know this. The primary process is for both parties, not just us. And this goes true for the third party. Third parties have all kinds of things that they do too that are kind of like primaries. They have nominating conventions and stuff, libertarians. These are not federal elections. These are internal political party elections. The time, if you had an insurrectionist, which Trump is not, but if you had an insurrectionist that was running, the time that would happen is when it came time for the federal election. Then you would say they can't be on the ballot. Not at this point. And it's amazing to me, has Mark Levin touched on that part? I haven't heard that. I don't fully trust Mark Levin. But that's part of sending a narrative. And that last caller about the smell thing. See, what they're trying to do is start a narrative that he's an insurrectionist again. And that makes perfect sense if you're in the Never Trumper uniparty. Well, of course he is. They don't understand why we don't buy it. They're trying to, it's that old saying, repeat a lie often enough and people will believe it. Goebbels, right? Repeat a lie often enough. And that's what Democrats have always done. And not just with Trump. They've done this with all Republicans. They get a narrative going and they repeat it and they repeat it and then it sticks. And that's what they're trying to do here with the primaries. But that does not even apply to the primary elections at all because they're not real elections. It's an internal party thing. It's almost like the primary, it is almost like an internal corporate election for something. It's not electing someone to federal office. So I don't understand why Mark Levin, quality of the caller we've had so far. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. I think you're gonna really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Steve Kane Show. Hold on. Steve Kane Show. Hold on. Steve Kane Show. Steve Kane Show. In Martin. Huh.
Brian Craig here. When it comes time to get your blood work done, I don't have time to spend hours in the doctor's office or waiting hours in one of those big labs. That's why I can do any lab test I want.
Steve Kane Show.
Lab test now in Coral Springs for all of my lab work. They're
Hello?
highly skilled and professional.
Hold on. Oh, okay.
Appointments aren't necessary. Doctor's orders and prescriptions, they're not needed either. I'm in and out in 15 minutes or less. I get the results the next day in my email box, and they also send to my doctor. There's lots of any lab test styles around, but these are the only two advertising on any lab test now with Boca, but any lab test now with Coral Springs. Any lab test now with Boca is in the Sandwich Plaza. It's where the Western Link is, between Pamela Park Road and Hillsborough Boulevard on the east side of State Road 7, 441. Any lab test now at Coral Springs is on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood by the Coral Square Mall. Call any lab test now at Boca at 561-237-5009. Any lab test now at Coral Springs number is 954-906-5983. And don't forget to mention that you heard about them on the radio.
Hey, Scott, are you ready for a new year full of fun-soaked adventure, breezy relaxation, and awe-inspiring tropical destinations? Well, sail into 2024 with Margaritaville at Sea, and your guests can come along for free for a limited time. Rediscover paradise with quick and easy getaways to the Bahamas, or head to wonder-filled Key West in Mexico aboard the all-new Margaritaville at Sea Islander this summer. This buy one, get one sale may be backed by popular demand, but it's not back for long. So book your 2024 cruise vacation.
Steve Kane Show.
At Margaritaville at Sea.
On. We'll be back in just a minute, guys.
Yeah, the same two men in a truck we trust for moving and storage can now handle all my junk removal needs. And I'll be able to get my car in the garage and find your golf club.
Yeah, you just got to refresh the feed, everyone.
TreasureCoast.com, now offering junk removal.
Brian Craig here, telling you about our 5th annual listener cruise. And you're all invited, except Little Al. Little Al, you're not invited. But the rest of you are. We leave April 27th on board the Celebrity Beyond, the flagship of celebrity cruises. We're going to the ABC Islands, Curacao, Bonaire, and Aruba. We have shore excursions at every port, and I'll be on them all with you. We'll have dinner together every night, private cocktail parties, we'll go to Broadway shows together, and dance till the clubs close every night. Call Ian at Cruise and Travel Depot and book your reservation at 561-244-5779. 561-244-5779.
Celebrating.
All right, we are back 33 minutes after the hour. This is the last Open Phone Friday of the year. We're going to tread with caution into the open phones at 1-888-GO-CANE-1. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jeff from Maine.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, you know, in our government, they are either traitors or cowards.
Yeah.
Neutrality, because President Trump's constitutional rights are being violated.
Well, it's not just his; it's ours. You know, he's. I mean, you know, it's absurd that they go on television and say they're preserving democracy while they're taking the front runner of the opposition party off the ballot. And I watched several interviews with this Maine dingbat yesterday, and I didn't hear one person bring that up. Now, of course, she's only on CNN and MSNBC, and they're excited by the prospect.
When the Supreme Court has to handle hearing about this removing Trump from the ballot, can they do it on a case by case, or can they say, listen, there's no state that has the constitutional right to remove Trump?
we're in untested territory, and no one knows how any of this is working. To me, it seems like the Supreme Court is waiting and see how many of these things work themselves out before they have to get involved.
Of all states, Colorado's pretty liberal, and their state Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional.
Well, even California said Trump's going to be on the ballot in California.
And that's a good point, because if the states take care of it, and there's only a few they have to handle the case, it would be easier, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I think they're doing. I could be wrong, but it's a Trump Supreme Court. They overturned Roe v. Wade, so we don't. I'm not concerned about how they're going to rule. They'll come down the right way because it's a Trump court. I mean, if they have what Trump is going through, this isn't going to end. This is just the primary. They're going to do a redo of this during the general election.
Yeah, but you know what? As far as what we're concerned about is, I'm speaking for me, not us. Why aren't any of the good government officials saying, listen, this is violating President Trump's constitutional rights?
Because look, these government officials that stand up for Trump, they get swatted. Or they get tossed out of Congress, like Madison Cawthorn. A lot of them are afraid.
Where's the backbone in America? I think they keep drumming this deadbeat drum because they cannot waver.
Yeah,
supporters.
That's right. All right, Jeff. Have a very good New Year. If we don't talk again until next year, take care.
Year to everybody.
Absolutely. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. How you doing? Ronnie Vic W. from West Palm.
Hey, West Palm. What's up?
Oh, my goodness. What a bang out, huh? I mean, for the gentleman that, wants to know, said that Trump smelled.
Oh, my goodness.
Irrelevant to the issues at hand. First of all, and me myself, Brian, I'd like to say I would not entertain that. This Nikki Haley thing, that's the way you brought it out was kind of despairing, but, I hear where you're coming from, and I understand it. We need to get our main guy in office so he can start to straighten out quite things that are going on. So I hear where you're coming from, but I'm not happy with that side of the coin.
What do you mean? What are you not happy with?
If he has to take her as a VP,
Well, whoever, it doesn't matter. Let me tell you, if Donald Trump picked Mike Pence again, we'd still vote for him. Nothing. I mean,
You're right. I would. And also the Republican Party. They need to be standing up for him. They should have been standing up for him. That's one reason why I only donate to the candidates and not the Republican Party anymore, because I definitely didn't.
See, this is what they're telling these Republicans. Jeff, why don't they stand up? This is what they're telling. Yeah, Trump's going to come back for 4 years. Where are you going to be in 5? Right? If you still want to be here, you got to play ball with us. That's the kind of thing they're doing.
We didn't put them there for that. They're like the gentleman that just spoke not too long ago. He's right. The ones that are not doing their job have committed treason against this country, the Constitution, and its citizens.
Yeah.
I trust you in anything. To follow you.
Listen, the only person you can trust is Donald Trump and people that he tells us to trust. That's it. You cannot trust any of these other people.
That is it. You're right, 100%.
All right. Well, listen. Have a good New Year, and thanks for the call.
Good one.
Okay. Now, the rest of you on hold, stand by. We'll get back to our phones in a minute at 1-888-GO-KANE-1. Steve Kane joining us. Hey, Steve.
Good morning.
Oh, my goodness. I know. It's one of those days.
Any updates on that story that broke overnight?
Which one? No updates.
Oh.
I mean, you just have a
The Supreme Court just come in and, I mean, you know that it's not real. Why did they let these things drag on and on and on?
Well, it's what I told Jeff. Jeff called about this a minute ago, right? When we were clicking it through, and what I told Jeff is what I'm going to tell you. I think the Supreme Court is seeing how many of these things get worked out on their own. Like look at Colorado. Who would have thought, right? That got worked out. Michigan got worked out.
But a lot of damage is done in the meantime.
Well, it's not. They're not a criminal court. I don't know if the Supreme Court could just come out and say, we determined that Donald Trump did not take part in an insurrection. They're not a criminal court. So they're more like a civil court, if anything. I mean,
I think they could say something that would...
And that would have meaning?
Yeah, something that would let the public know that it was not something that was not...
Well, yeah.
Of the Supreme...
I think it's better if these things work out on their own, because while we have the majority now, we will not always have the majority. And if the Supreme Court comes in and says who can and cannot be on ballots, the Democrats, when they have the court back, that'll be every election.
To go that direction anyway.
It seems that way. Well, let's take some more of these calls. 1-888-GO-CANE-1. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, hi, Brian. It's Roz. How are you and Steve?
Hey, Roz. How are you today?
Okay. Did you guys have a nice Christmas?
It's a great Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Good. That's very good. Anyway, Brian, I don't know if you're aware of it, that dumb caller that called about President Trump stinking. I didn't know if you know about it, but they're running ads on television now.
Really?
Campaign ads. There's 2 of them that says he smells like a skunk with BO and that nobody can get near him. I mean, it's disgusting.
Really?
Yeah. I've been watching the ads. They come on TV. I don't believe them, though.
I've not heard of those ads. I'll look for them during the break and see if I can find any of them.
That's why that dummy called and was laughing. Now, I don't believe it. I think he's a very clean man, and I just want to say a couple of things. He just got a victory yesterday where he's back on the one ticket, I forgot the name of it, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And now they took him off in Maine, and it's like, how many times are they going to keep on going after this?
Well, this is what this is about. It's the same. That's why this thing about Trump smells, right? They're trying to get a narrative going, and then they're trying to get this narrative going that he's an insurrectionist by having these state officials say he can't be on the ballot, and that's.
Seen the tapes. The cops were involved. It was a setup. He had nothing to do with it.
You confuse facts with what they're trying to do. I mean, like this thing with the smelling. Come on. Nobody believes that. I bet you even after a day on the golf course in the hot Florida sun, he smells beautiful, right? But slow down. This is what Democrats do. They get false narratives going through talking points, and their dingbat followers just regurgitate and repeat them. And that's what Democrats have always done. Like, remember, Steve, years ago when the Tea Party was around, they had that commercial where a Republican rolled a grandmother on a wheelchair over a cliff and then there was this whole thing that Republicans were going to kill grandmas. That was the narrative. That's what the it's Goebbels. Repeat a lie often enough and people will believe it.
Why can't the Republicans, though, get a hold of all these court cases, knock them out, because now Mike Johnson is up there, and knock out all these things with stopping these ballot problems?
Well, if Mike Johnson, we have like a 2-seat majority, okay? So he's probably like the weakest speaker in history, and he's, he doesn't seem to be getting much of anything done. Why have they not impeached Biden yet? They seem to be dragging their feet on that. They haven't done much.
Holiday season, don't you know?
Holiday. We're here.
Didn't show up to court. How come they're not?
Yeah. The illegals aren't taking a vacation.
It just upsets me because poor man. Every time he turns around, he's getting a knock from here, knock from there. And he's not doing anything wrong.
Just keep, before you say poor man about Donald Trump, we haven't seen the full results. So far, everything has broken his way as a result of
exactly
that they pulled.
Everything.
Damn, it's backfired.
See, this is something, Trump's support in minority communities is good. What they've done is they've made Trump, they don't see this because all these Democrats, but what they've done is they've made him a victim. And, and these Democrats and these uniparty Trump-hating Republicans, they're surrounded in this Trump hate bubble. They don't see that. They've made him a victim. And every time something happens like in Maine yesterday, it makes him stronger and more popular.
One incident since this thing has been going on where he has been mistreated and the polls went down rather than up.
In fact, you can go back to since he came down the escalator. Every scheme they've tried has failed. Yeah.
That Trump needs to do. I don't know his personal life, but I know he needs to ask God to help him with this, and I know God will recompense all these evildoers.
All right. That's true. All right, Roz, take care. Now, if you're on hold, stand by. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll get back to our calls. Our number 1-888-GO-KANE-1. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right.
All right, and on the line, Steve, we have your attorney, Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Hey, Barry.
Barry, how you doing?
I'm great. How you guys doing?
Excellent.
Right. Well, wishing we would have taken the week off, I guess, maybe a little bit.
He doesn't speak for me. I'm glad to be here with my listeners.
Yes, 5 feet from his bedroom in his home studio. Anyway, Barry, what do you? This is the last time we're going to. Oh, probably, yeah. This is the last time we're going to speak in 2023. So, how are we ending the year at the Siegel Law Group?
Yeah, and I realize that. So, first of all, I want to thank both of you for another great year. It's been a lot of years, and I just want to thank you. And it's great being a sponsor on your show, and thank all the listeners and the people who've come to our clients that we've gotten. And anyway, so thankful for everything this year, and look forward to a great 2024. What I'll do is just I'll talk about what I mentioned yesterday about the deal we're doing for 2024 New Year's resolutions. But really, just to sum up everything, the Siegel Law Group, we're looking to help people get peace of mind, to make sure they have the right planning to deal with some of the most important things that they have to deal with in their life, taking care of their family, taking care of their loved ones, making sure that they protect themselves so that they don't run out of money during their lifetimes. God forbid they need care, home care, assisted living, or nursing home care, and making sure you leave a legacy the way you want it to go to. So it goes to the right people, doesn't go to the wrong people, goes to the right people the right way. We avoid any of the complications of probate and guardianship, and just having that peace of mind that we've done the right thing and we didn't leave a mess behind. So with that in mind, here we are, every year, since forever, people talk about their New Year's resolutions, and one of them is, for some people, is getting their estate planning done or up to date. And since people sometimes, and we're all guilty of it one way or another, we have our New Year's resolutions, and sometimes they last a while, sometimes we actually do them, and sometimes they don't last very long. But for those people who really want to genuinely get their estate planning done, I want to give them an incentive to get it done by giving, if they call, today's really the last day to take advantage of this. They call our offices today, schedule their appointment for the first couple of weeks in January. They don't have to come in today, but as long as they're on the books today, we're going to give them anything that they do with us. They're going to get a 10% off on their planning. So that way, not only do you proactively take action to do your New Year's resolution, but you're also getting something off on that as well. So a little something to inspire you to do what you want to do and should do anyway. So
yeah, absolutely.
What we're doing at the Siegel. happy, healthy New Year and safe New Year's Eve, and all the best in 20.
Yeah, and I'll just say, because, we're ending the year, and, all of the sponsors here, that if you hear Steve or I talking about any of the advertisers, either Steve uses them, I use them, or we both use them. And how Attorney Barry Siegel and the Siegel Law Group joined us. Steve, you had an estate plan, you had a trust, and we met with you, Barry. I remember we met with you at Wings Plus, and you reviewed Steve's trust and found it had so many problems it was basically useless. The least of which was that your trustee was dead, Steve. And there were a lot of other problems because there's been divorces and deaths and all kinds of things. And the Siegel Law Group, if you mention you heard Attorney Barry Siegel on the radio, you get a free consultation with the Siegel Law Group. There's this added incentive if you call and make your appointment today. You get that discount. But Barry, you thanked us for our relationship. I want to thank you because I have talked to I don't even know how many listeners over the years. I've had many conversations with listeners over the years you've been with us about how what a wonderful job you did taking care of them and their family. I've heard nothing but incredible satisfaction from and believe me, if listeners have a problem, they would let us know. I've heard nothing but just raving about you and your entire staff and what great work you've done. And I know the great work they've done for you, Steve. I mean, your family would have been screwed if it wasn't for Attorney Barry Siegel. Well, you'd be dead. But your family, they would have been in big trouble, right? I mean, so Attorney Barry Siegel, give the Siegel Law Group a call. Here's the number. And try to call and make that appointment today for a future date so you can take advantage of that discount. 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782. And if you missed that number, you can just find it on the website, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, have a great New Year's, and we'll talk next week.
All right.
Back after this.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on.
All right, we're back. Now, I was telling you on the way in my theory on this MAINE thing, and I did open the show with it, and you just laughed at it and thought it was crazy. But let me restate it, and let's talk about it.
In my humble opinion, it's far-fetched.
Far-fetched. Well, let me give you the far-fetched theory, and I think there's accuracy to this. Yesterday, now this was not covered on Fox News, I know for a fact. In fact, Fox News was defending the brilliant answer that Nikki Haley gave. I'm not kidding. At that town hall the day before about the Civil War. Nikki Haley, Steve, yesterday had about half a dozen moments where she tried to do damage control on the Civil War comment. Each time, it got worse. At one point, the crowds were laughing at her. She had a child get up at a campaign event and make a joke at her expense. Then, later in the day, a tape came out from 2010 when she was doing when she was running for state office. She was interviewed by a newspaper editorial board in South Carolina. They asked her the same question about the Civil War. She gave an equally as idiotic answer as she did at the town hall. And then, I don't know, around 5 in the afternoon or so, this story dropped out of Maine. And I know this sounds crazy, far-fetched, maybe it does, but I really think that they dropped this Maine story to change the news cycle. Nikki Haley was about to be run out of politics yesterday, and it changed on a dime with this Maine story. Just totally hijacked the news cycle. And this Maine Secretary of State, Steve, she's not even an elected Secretary of State. She's appointed, right? I mean, she's like the woman that works at the DMV. And and this Nikki Haley story has disappeared. I saw one story about it today, and it said Nikki Haley had 24 hours in New Hampshire she'd like to forget.
Everybody's talking about the
Maine.
Maine.
So they dropped this Maine story, came out of nowhere. The Maine primary is not even until March, all right? It's months away, and I'm not saying they weren't going to do it, but they did it yesterday when they did to save Nikki Haley. Steve, the pressure that they're putting on President Trump right now to get him to pick Nikki Haley to be his running mate or Secretary of State is huge. And what I think has happened, the Republican establishment and the upper Democrats, I'm not talking about all these weirdos we see, I'm talking about the upper Democrats, I think they've accepted Trump's return in 2024. I think they've accepted it, and the Republican establishment, it doesn't mean they're not going to try to do things along the way. But what the Republican establishment are doing, they've admitted to themselves, he's in. Nomination, he's going to win. They're trying to set themselves up to get control of the party again in 2028 with Nikki Haley. And they're doing such a push on Trump to pick her to be his running mate or Secretary of State so they can set her up to be the nominee in 2028. And yesterday, that's been going on hardcore for 2 or 3 weeks. And yesterday, that Civil War thing, it was almost over. I mean, Steve, I heard it when I heard this child get up and make a joke and everyone laughed at her. It was like, oh my goodness. And then 5 minutes later, this happens in Maine.
The joke was?
She made some comparison to her being like John Kerry when people were making fun of him in 2004, which obviously the kid was put up to it because how could a child even know who John Kerry is and know about the 2004 presidential race? She gave answers about the Civil War throughout the day that kept evolving, and each one was worse than the one before. She did an appearance with Governor Sununu, and it was a disaster. And she was a weekend away from being out of politics for the rest of her life. It was snowballing. It was getting worse. And then this thing in Maine happened, and the news cycle changed. Now maybe it sounds far-fetched. Maybe I'm so paranoid after everything that they've been doing to President Trump all these years, but I don't think it's that far-fetched. Because of that day she had yesterday was just brutal. And you know, I mean, you've heard about the pressure they're trying to get Trump to pick her.
That's true, but
They got no one else.
it is that they're not doing a very good job because I don't think she's really in the running.
Well, they have no one else. They have no one else. You know, I mean, that's it. And you know, listen, I think she's done in New Hampshire after this. I mean, she was never going to win, but their hope has been with Nikki Haley is to get second place finishes closer than what the polls suggest she is, and then they'll say she's got momentum. That's been their thing. Now the thing about the taking him off the ballots, the purpose of that, and I was talking about this earlier, but I'd like to just hear your thoughts on that. What they're trying to do, I believe, Steve, is they're trying to cause confusion with the delegates at the convention so that they can force a brokered convention. And at a brokered convention, Trump's still going to walk away with the nomination, but they want to be able to push on him his running mate. Because there's really, I mean, you know,
Trump is going to take who he wants.
Yeah, but they don't know that. They're still.
You know, they don't.
Well, because you're sane. Because you're a sane person. See, they're pouring millions of dollars into these Nikki Haley campaigns. So there's a lot of political people who are not as lucid as you are.
I think for a while that they thought they could knock him off in a primary, but then I think
No, they want to have someone set up for 2028. They want it to be Nikki Haley. That's it. And but she's not going anywhere. When this is over, she's going to. When she loses to him in South Carolina, where she was twice elected governor, that'll be the last we've heard of Nikki Haley for a long time. Okay, I'm sure she'll run for Congress or something.
defeated, right? That's correct.
Well, there hasn't been a primary yet. The first one is the Iowa caucus in the middle of the month. At the end of the month, next month is New Hampshire, and then South Carolina is the month after that. Is it South Carolina in February?
That's where our friend, the president, turned around.
Exactly. Now, listen, if you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take our break for the top of the hour. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. Florida's longest-running radio show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 46 years on the radio, which starting next week, we're going to have to change that, Steve, to 47 years on the radio. I'm saying it now. Yeah, well, I am. I'll say it every day. It'll be starting next week, celebrating 47 years on the radio. This is the longest-running radio show in the state of Florida, and I have a high confidence the longest-running radio show in America. We'll be right back.
WNN Pompano Beach, WIRK HD3.
Brought to you by Palm Beach Patio Furniture, Route 1 Seminole Plaza Shops, North Palm Beach. Palm Beach Patio Furniture, voted in the best of the best patio store in Palm Beach County. PalmBeachPatioFurniture.com, where luxurious outdoor spaces are created.
And now, on
Account for a disabled vehicle blocking the off-ramp to Hope Sound northbound on I-95 and another accident on Australian Avenue north of 45th Street. This report is sponsored by Jackson Hewitt Tax Services, home of the money guarantee. At Jackson
All right, callers on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. Of course, Steve Kane is here as well. Listen to this, Steve. Nikki Haley, listen to this. Nikki Haley said when elected president, she'll pardon President Trump. She says it's in the best interest of the country to pardon him so that we can move on as a country and no longer talk about him. Wow, she seems ticked off at Trump. And she said that yesterday. All right, let's go to the phones. 1-888-GO-KANE-1. You back with us, Steve? Okay, sound of silence. I wasn't sure. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning.
Yes, you're on the air.
Oh, good morning, Brian. And I think they're so afraid of Trump getting the presidency after all of the shenanigans.
Yeah.
Now scared of repercussions, so they're resorting to like a bunch of school kids in the schoolyard calling names.
Well, yeah, they got good reason to be scared, and I have predicted that this prosecutor Jack Smith, he's going to end up being a cooperating witness against Merrick Garland and others. Yeah, because when Trump's back, these evildoers that are bad cops and prosecutors, they're committing crimes. Merrick Garland, they're committing crimes by these phony prosecutions. And people are going to be prosecuted. And the first one to be a cooperating witness gets the deal. And Jack Smith went to the Supreme Court to try to get the case tossed out of D.C. He was trying to get out of this. So that tells me he's scared.
Well, they're all scared. That's why they're resorting to schoolyard tactics of calling names.
Yes.
They have nowhere else to go.
Yeah, I wonder if they say to themselves, because they have made Trump was always popular. He's more popular now than he ever has been because of this persecution. He's a political prisoner, is what he is by these people. Do you think they ever say to themselves, man, we should have just laid off, he'd have had his second term would be about over right now and we'd be rid of him. You think they ever say that to themselves?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sheeple, and I doubt it.
Yeah. All right. Hey, listen, appreciate the call. Have a great new year. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Steve. Good morning, Brian. This is Richie.
Richie the bus driver.
I'm sorry to say this. I'm going to say it, Brian. I think you're on a hissy this morning. I think you're all over the map. You sound like a frantic talk show host.
I sound frantic.
Yeah, you do. Because let me explain to you, and Steve, I think is going to agree with me.
That I sound frantic.
Yes, because you're panicking. Oh, Nikki Haley, and they're going to go with it. Your theories are all over the ballpark. Yesterday you say Nikki Haley's career is over. Today you push and they're going to make Nikki Haley is running.
I didn't say they're going. No, that's not what I said. I said they want to. They want to.
Let me tell you something. That would be the death knell for Trump, because you're not thinking clearly. You got Democrats that are against Trump. You got Republicans against Trump.
Yes.
And by putting Nikki Haley in there, and with the broker convention, which is not going to happen, Nikki Haley would be Trump's death knell in this country, because that's what they do. Because the Republicans, they don't want Trump. They don't care. Let me tell you this. They don't care if Trump loses.
That's right.
And I'm talking about the Republicans.
The Republicans are all going to vote for the Democrat, whoever they are, not Trump.
Those Republicans that hate Trump are not going to.
But Richie, hold on a second. Let me clarify, because I'm not frantic at all. But No. You're misunderstanding what I'm saying, and maybe it's my fault that I'm not communicating well. I'm the professional communicator, and I'm not communicating my message very well. But here's what you're confusing what I think will happen with what the Never Trumpers are trying to do. Okay, she's not going to be Trump's running mate, and she's not going to be in the cabinet. But the Never Trumpers don't know that. They've not accepted that. They're trying to make that happen. And so far as her, and I would still say her political career is over as of yesterday. She's done. She's done. That Civil War thing did her in.
She was if this happened and Trump
it was Trump's running mate. All those blacks that they got, they would put ads on there about the Civil War against her. She is done. She committed suicide.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she's done. She's as done as DeSantis. Yeah, that town hall meeting did her in forever.
And she's not even worth a breath of fresh air. I hate to tell you that. You want?
Look good on this yesterday.
Ramaswamy. Well, yeah, he always says the right things.
And he says the right things, and you can tell.
You're a little off mic, Steve. So I turned you up as loud as I can, but that's now you're back. Yeah.
See, I sort of agree. And I tell you the truth. For the whole time, Brian and I got into a little bit with the Swamy. I'm 150% behind Swamy, not for being a president, but being in Trump's cabinet or being vice president. Man, show.
Listen. I'm all. Listen. No. I'm all for Ramaswamy now. President Trump well, okay, you're better than me. 2 days ago, President Trump said Vivek Ramaswamy is a good guy. That's good enough for me. So I'm with Ramaswamy now.
But you were trying to link him up because of Soros.
Well, all that's true, but it's forgotten now because Trump brought him in.
But if you have two brothers, and one becomes a priest. I remember, Steve will remember this. Remember the actor Pat O'Brien, Steve? When
oh my goodness!
His brother was a priest, and he was a priest, and his brother was a gangster. And they came from the same mother and father. Pat O'Brien he was a priest in a lot of movies. What was the name of the movie? I forget.
I have no idea. That's not the right comparison. The question is, the comparison is Hitler and Hitler's brother.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they're the same. They think differently. One brother could become gangster, the other could become a priest. It's different.
You're talking about a movie.
Oh my God! Yeah,
I'm talking about real life.
In real life, if you had a sister that became a criminal, would everyone look at you like you're the criminal, Brian? No, you have your own life.
All right.
But I think that this whole thing, Nikki Haley is done. Trump is going to pick. I think Trump is going to pick something.
Yeah, but you know what? Nikki Haley is done. But she wasn't done until that town hall. That's right. Yes. Oh, that's good. He's already gone. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jonathan Forden. By the way, that is Angels with Dirty Faces. James Cagney.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to speak to this guy. First of all, you are a fake, phony, and a fraud. If Trump took DeSantis as his running mate, you would not vote for Trump.
Yes, I would. If Trump picked Pence, I'll even go further. If Trump picked as his running mate Hillary Clinton, I'd vote for Trump.
Okay, the question here: if you interviewed DeSantis today, face to face, would you talk to him about his cowboy boots?
Yes, I would ask. I'd have to. Yeah.
Yeah, and how would you put? Let's say I'm DeSantis.
If God, I would, and this is the God honest truth, guys. This is what I would do. If DeSantis was going to be here in studio, I would bring from home a tape measure, ask him to take off the boots, and let's measure him right here on the air and settle it. He told Patrick Bet David he's 5'11"? He told Patrick Bet David he's 5'11". I'd have the soundbite ready. I'd play it and say, let's settle this, take off the boots, and I got the tape measure. I'd have to do it.
Yeah, you'd probably have cops and security guards all around you.
No, he'd have state troopers with him.
Okay.
All right, so where do we go from here? Do you have anything to add?
See, the answer I gave him didn't fit the answer that the make-believe me gave when he was rehearsing.
I will personally...
Yeah, we'll find that out next year. All right, listen, we'll take our break. Oh, my goodness. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Happy holidays from
And, you know, if when I measured him, if he's 5'11", I'd apologize. By the way, I didn't finish that part with the caller, but yeah. I mean, come on. Yeah, he told Patrick Bet David he's 5'11". Yeah, that'd be amazing. Hey, you guys in the chat, where is everyone located? Like, what city, what state, what country? I'm just curious. What city, what state, what country? Any way you want to answer, where are you located?
Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on...
All right, there are 2 openings on our board at 1-888-COCAINE-1.
My 2 cents here.
It is the Steve Kane Show. What are you asking for?
I want to tell the audience, or suggest to the audience the same thing I'm suggesting to my kids, that New Year's Eve would be a good day a good night to stay home.
Absolutely.
This time around.
Absolutely.
It is shaping up. Times Square is always an event that New Year's, when they drop the ball and all that, people look forward to
Central Alberta.
mixed feelings and a certain amount of trepidation because, you know, let's face it, half the world is watching New York on New Year's. And if you have a message to deliver, as these yahoos seem to, you know, who are attacking our soldiers and our troops, if you're in a situation like that, you just want to be careful.
Steve, did you see that these terrorist supporters tried to burst into the Holocaust Museum to protest in D.C.? Oh my goodness! Yeah, and I'll tell you. Let me add on. Let me piggyback onto Steve's thing and add something to it. It's a good idea to stay home anyway because of the drunks on the highway. Okay, and if you're going out to dinner or something, you know, that early bird's looking pretty good on New Year's Eve. It's just a bad time to be on the highway. There's one opening on the board, but before we go back to the phones, listen, start the new year pain-free. Go see Dr. Appleton. Talk to him about his laser wave pain treatment. Get rid of that pain. You know, Steve, you know my shoulder pain that when I had my skateboarding accident, my final skateboarding ride of my life, you know? That pain was so bad. I couldn't put my wallet in or out of my back right pocket. I had to put my wallet in my left pocket, which I've never done in my life, and it didn't even really fit in. That pain in my shoulder that day, it felt like I had pain on the front and the side of the shoulder. In the front, it felt like a steak knife had been stabbed into my shoulder, and the muscles inside my shoulder were being slowly cut with that knife. On the outside of the shoulder, it felt like Mike Tyson in his heyday punched me. It was that bad. You know, one treatment of the laser wave pain, I went right from the show, got the treatment. When I was walking to my... Yeah, go see Dr. Appleton when I'm suffering with pain. Yeah, that's true. I know I look stupid at my age on that longboard. I know I do. But when I was walking through the lobby at Dr. Appleton's, I said, Dr. Appleton, after just the one treatment after the show that day, I said, I'm feeling better already. He said, yeah. He said, come back tomorrow. I went back tomorrow for a follow-up, got a treatment. Pain was gone. It's not returned. So start the new year off right and start the new year off pain-free. Pain is not something that's just part of the aging process, okay? Go see Dr. Appleton. Now, again, the laser wave pain treatment, all the treatments are performed by Dr. Appleton. There's no surgery, no drugs, no injections, and no downtime. Appointments are not necessary, and walk-ins are welcome, including on Saturdays. Here's his number. Now, if you missed the number, you can go to his website. I'll give you that, too. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. Start the new year off pain-free with Dr. Appleton. All right, there's only one opening on the board. The last couple callers seemed a little triggered. I don't know why anyone would be triggered by anything I have to say. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
James from Boca.
Hey, James.
Happy New Year, gentlemen, and to everybody. You said something earlier today. I just kind of fell into a piece of a puzzle. You said that Reagan forgave 5 million immigrants.
I didn't say 5 million. He gave amnesty to some immigrants. I don't know how many, and that started a path. That started the amnesty thing.
That's my thing about this, is that if we add up since Reagan how many have been here or are here, and then with the last 3 years of Joe and one more of Joe, how many illegals are there?
There's no way to know.
I know that. I'm just trying to point that out so people.
But yeah, Steve. What brought this up today is Mayorkas went to Mexico to talk about amnesty for the illegals. I don't understand this. My mother-in-law. Well, I have two mother-in-laws. Everybody's been married and remarried a whole bunch of times in my family. But one of my mother-in-laws, my wife's mother, she's a U.S. citizen, but she's an immigrant from Canada. She didn't become a citizen. She got married. Her husband, my father-in-law, is an American. She had 2 children, and she still wasn't a citizen. It was a multi-year process she went through to become a citizen. And she was from Canada, and she had 2 kids and a husband here. What's going on down here is simple. They're trying to reduce the majority of whites because the Democrats believe that they've lost control because there's too many white people here. And they're trying to reduce the white population. That's right. They've lost. Correct.
Really waking up.
Correct.
Chicago and New York, where they're not getting any help.
That's correct.
Moved in, 300,000 of the illegals, and they're getting housing.
Correct.
A car.
As with most of the decisions made by this administration, it was not thought through properly.
Mm-hmm.
Turned into another humongous mistake.
But under Biden, I've been talking about this for 2 weeks because I think these numbers are very important. In Biden's presidency so far, 4.6 million illegals have arrived each year. It's going to surpass that because what's going on now. That does not include the unborn children in the womb. Okay, 4.6 million illegals a year under Biden. The birth rate, there were 3.6 million babies born last year. So the illegal population is surpassing our birth rate.
New York, Miami, and Chicago.
Yeah. Yes, correct.
People came in
a year. Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, it's.
Leave it as that. You guys, God bless. Have a good year.
We sure will. All right, take care. Take care. We do have nice people in the audience. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? We have a lot of nice people. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Cindy.
Hey, Cindy.
From Florida. How are you?
What's up, Cindy?
No, I'm good, chugging along here. Still working real hard. We're going to start vetting the candidates after January, local, state, and then we endorse. Because we can't leave it to the Republican Party.
No, you cannot.
So I just have a couple of things to say. Number one, years ago, I learned about the one world government many years ago. I read Phyllis Schlafly's book and Barry Goldwater, and many people told me, and blah, 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 blah. That's what we're fighting. We're globalists. They were called the Kingmakers back then. Well, the Kingmakers' names may have changed, but they're still doing their dirty work.
Yes.
Rockefeller Foundation, the Ford Foundation. At a local level, if you think this is not affecting you and you want to vote for Biden, let me tell you what's going on. They have climbed on to UN Agenda 21-2030 in the city of Stewart. It's on the website. What does that mean? It means that they take federal grants for things that we do not want. Let me give you an example. How many cars do you think you want to be able to? You want to go downtown, you want to park your car, right? Well, we don't want you to go downtown and park your car. We want you to ride a bike or take a public transportation, live in your apartment
Mm-hmm.
to the urban boundary, because this is all part of the climate scam.
Yes.
Done through us, through the federal grants. So everybody here that's listening on your radio show needs to look at their local level, what their commissioners are doing, what the county does, and start rejecting this, because this is really serious.
And another thing too, on the local level, okay, and people like you're of course in Martin County, but this is very important. What these establishment people do is they run at the local level and they claim to be MAGA. You got to be very careful, and it's very difficult. See, we're up against the break, but I just want to end with your call on this, Cynthia. Here's the thing. This one world government thing has been going on for years and years, and we all had our heads in the sand because we wanted to ignore it, because we didn't have anybody who could lead us to freedom, and we do in President Trump. And President Trump is the one that can take us away from the globalist, away from the open borders. Look, he overturned Roe v. Wade. Who would have thought anybody would have done that? He had Mexico shutting down their northern border. We didn't have somebody who would do any of these things because they're all like DeSantis and Nikki Haley and Biden. And that's the important, real quick because we're late.
Okay, President's agenda, he was asked when he was in office in 2016. He's very well aware of it. It is in the federal grants. So believe me when I tell you, he will try and we will get rid of this.
All right.
And because President Trump.
That's right. All right, Cynthia, take care. All right, we'll talk after we... All right, I'm Brian. Steve's here. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. You're gonna really love it.
Be right back, guys. Oh, maybe that's it.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Bruce, that was nice. Thanks, Bruce. Yeah, if you could, this is the one. Yeah, just text it to me. It doesn't, yeah. Here we go.
Brian Craig celebrating 46 years on.
All right, callers on hold, stand by. Before we go back to the calls, I just want to say something to the audience. I think you'll back me up on this, Steve, but I want to say this before it gets rushed at the end and we forget. You know, this is the last Steve Kane show of 2023, and of course next year is a new year. And, you know, this is the longest running radio show in the state of Florida. I say that a lot because nobody else can say that, and it means a lot. And the reason this is the longest running radio show is because of you and this listening audience. And I know you'll agree with me on this, Steve. You know, I want to thank everyone in this audience for your many years of support of this program, supporting our radio station, supporting our sponsors, which is what keeps us on the air. And it's you know, over the years, Steve, you and I, with this show, with all the radio stations we've been on, have been through so much that you guys one day will know about when, you know, one day. Yeah. You guys have no idea what we've been through over the years from different radio stations, dealing with different people off the air. I wish I could tell you. I probably could, you know, but you know, I just don't want to get sidetracked on some of that right now. But this is the longest running radio show because of you guys out there. Okay, and there's not a day that goes by that Steve and I do not appreciate you and those in the listening audience. You know, so many of you have been with us, not just for decades on this program, but to so many different radio stations over the years, okay? And just want to say thank you to all of you. I don't want to do it as a rush thing at the end of the show as we're signing off. All right, back to the phones. Our number 1-888-GO-KANE-1. And you know what? Just one last thing on that as I'm sucking up to the audience. You know, the Steve Kane show, we have never done any advertising for this show in all these years. And the popularity of this show, which just is amazing to me, and I pinch myself all the time about it, it's all word of mouth from you guys out there. That your word of mouth has spread the word about this program. Many of you found us by flipping through the dial, you know, or maybe, you know, finding us or you know, finding us online through all the things I've done there. But this show has grown over the years because of the word of mouth advertising from you all out there. So keep that going for 2024, please. All right, let's go back to the phones. I can't take too much more sucking up than that. 1-888-GO-KANE-1. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
Yes, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name is Roger. I'm calling from Coconut Creek.
Hey, Roger.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. I want to wish you a happy new year, and you guys have been there for me for a lot of things, I'm telling you.
Thank you.
Because with the way things go in this world, we're lucky we don't lose our minds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an Uber driver.
Oh.
You do that by choice. I did that because Joe Biden came in and doubled the price of everything.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a choice. On a fixed income, you got to get up and you got to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys, we need somebody undercover to go to the other side and to come through these extra things that they're giving to illegals to come here. That's why they're rushing the border, because
It's a retirement. They're coming here to retire. You're in Coconut Creek, and were you retired and have gone back to work as an Uber driver?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, there you go. See, they're coming here to retire. Let me ask you, because I take Uber and Lyft sometimes. Okay. Like, how does that work out financially for you between the gas and the wear and tear on your vehicle?
It's too much. I'm going to get out of it. I have to go back, but I have a bad right foot. So I have to. That's why I retired.
So you really don't make that much money doing it.
No, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I've been noticing, that I've been picking up a lot of people that are coming here, immigrants that are coming here. I picked up a group of 10. I had to get another Uber driver to come with me. And we picked up a group of 10 and took them to an Airbnb. And then the guy said, oh, well, we want to go to a restaurant to eat. I said, well, you're a group of 10. We'll have to call ahead.
Yeah.
And you'll have to rebook me. And he goes, no, don't worry about that. I pay you in cash. I said, oh, okay, no problem. So I had his wife call and booked the ticket. And we went to a restaurant. And the guy pulled out a wad of cash from his pocket that was 2 inches thick. Now, you think he got paid to come here?
I don't know. Maybe. It's possible. It's possible. Yeah.
I understand they get a $5,000 Visa card.
Visa gift card. Yes.
Free flight.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They give them $5,000 Visa gift cards. Yes. Yeah, that's true.
I'm telling you that the rush to the border is money.
And the thing, a guy called me up about this a couple weeks ago, Steve. One day you were off about the $5,000 gift card. And I learned this in the course of this conversation. You can buy a house with Visa gift cards. And if you get together 10 people, you got $50,000. So and that's, of course, we're giving them that money. And here you are, retired with a bad right foot, out there driving for Uber.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I picked up a lot of people and took them to the immigration office in Miramar. It's overflowing down there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why DeSantis isn't noticing what's happening in his own county.
Because he hasn't been in Florida in like 6 months. He's been in Iowa and New Hampshire. Hey, listen, good talking to you. And tip your Uber drivers.
Guys, keep on keeping on.
All right, take care. Yeah, and always tip your Uber drivers and Lyft drivers. You hear that guy? It's what I say when I talk to Joe Thomas. He was here yesterday, and he said, he says you go to Publix and you see these old men baggers. They're not doing it because they have free time. They're doing it because they have to. You just heard a retired guy right there with a bad right foot, which is the foot you used for the gas pedal and the brake, and he's out there driving Uber. Listen, call Jupiter Joe Thomas, okay? Talk to him about annuities. With annuities, you're guaranteed extra income every month. That's amazing. You want that income? That extra income means a lot. When you plan your own retirement, you can't factor in things like inflation. Who knows where that's going to go? The price of things are always going up. They're always changing. With annuities, you're also not risking your money. Your money's safe. You're not going to lose money, and you're guaranteed income for the rest of your life. You're guaranteed income for the rest of your life. Now, Joe Thomas is offering 2 things for free. 1, free copies of his book, The Retirement Know-It-All. You really should get that book. I've read the book. It's a quick read. It's an easy read, and it's filled with tons of actionable advice if you're retired or when you eventually retire. He's also offering free phone consultations. And I know a lot of you have taken advantage of that. Joe Thomas was telling me yesterday, Stevie, he did a conference call with an entire family of listeners of the Steve Kane Show. He was telling me yesterday. So take advantage of those no-charge phone consultations. Also, no matter where you are located, Joe Thomas can help you. Okay, no matter where you are in America, give him a call. I'm going to give you his number. Here it is, 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. If you missed that number, just go to his website, jupiterjoe.com. You can get the number there. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yo.
Hey, Brian.
How are you guys today? First, I want to thank on behalf of the listening audience. That was a very nice tribute to all the fans out here who listen to the show, and on behalf, we really appreciate it. Right, I think you're ahead of the curve. I think we're going to see this feeding frenzy in the Democratic Party, something we haven't seen before, when they tried to jump ship and cut the deal and everything like that. I saw Zogby on the television yesterday with the Zogby poll, doing a bit more of a detailed analysis of how strong Trump is in this.
Yeah.
Hispanics, African Americans, the young people. I think this, the other side, the electorate isn't just waking up. I'm starting to see a powerful anger in the electorate, that they're very, very angry and very, very aware now of what's going on. And I got to tell you, there's one guy who I always see fear on his face. Maybe it's just me. Our illustrious Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken. Is this guy worried about something? Because every time I see him, he looks like he's got a face full of fear.
Well, his whole cabinet is...
the whole cabinet, yeah.
Well, you know, I'm going to tell you, listen, I shouldn't have taken this call until after the break. I wasn't looking at the clock, so my apologies. But I want to say this. See, you talk about Blinken. The condition of Biden's cognitive health is much worse than we see on TV, okay? They got him on coke and all kinds of other things. And they're all covering up for this. This is criminal. They have an obligation as cabinet members, which includes the vice president. They have a legal obligation when the president is mentally not capable of serving to step in. They haven't. Who's giving the orders? Who's running the country? We don't know. And when Trump is back, but no one else has the authority to give orders. So when Trump comes back in, it's very likely that President Trump is going to let the country know what happened these last 4 years, the true condition of Biden, and believe me, there's video and everything of it, and who's been giving illegal orders to the military and other agencies. And it's going to be frightening to people. And Blinken and these others are terrified because things like that are going to be exposed.
He has a constitutional obligation too, don't they?
That's why I say legally. That's the law. They have a legal constitutional obligation to invoke the 25th Amendment, and they've not done it. Hey, I appreciate the call. We'll talk after the new year. All right. It's time for a break. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on.
All right, and it's time for the final gold report of 2023. We're going to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated, as we do each morning at this time. So how is the year ending for the metals, William Youngerman?
Metals ending very strong. This is going to be a great year for gold, and has been a great year. And the gold yesterday giving back a little bit of its weekly gains this week, but still strong above 2,000, closing out the day at $2,065.20, which was down $12.70 after the last several days' gains. Silver closed down 27 cents at $23.98. Platinum was up $7 at $1,004. And palladium closed down $13 at $1,120. This morning, gold down 20 cents right now at $2,065. Silver down 33 cents at $23.65 the ounce. Platinum down $4 at $1,000. and palladium down $20 and $1,100. So the market's very stable, holding nicely above the support levels and giving us a good close, I believe, for the New Year's.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody.
Absolutely. And you're open regular business hours today? Yes, we are. Okay. Yeah. Now, let me ask, because here we are at the end of the year, we're starting a new year, and the metal, gold and silver, the metals are different things to different people. And I'll ask you this, and maybe I'm right or maybe I'm wrong, William Youngman. You're the expert. You'll let me know. But people always wonder, well, when do you sell? When do you buy and all this stuff? And I kind of think everybody gets involved in the metals for different reasons. Some it's an investment, some are collectors, some it's a savings account. And my thinking always is, it's time to sell when whatever reason you bought the metals for is here, right? Like if you were saving up to buy a car or you're saving up for your retirement. I don't know, when is the time to sell?
Yeah, to me, the only time to sell your metals is when the reason for owning them has changed.
There you go.
That reason has changed. Or if you have a better place for the money. I mean, if you're paying down debt or if you're using it for something that you need. But otherwise, I think, remember, gold and silver are the only real money in the world. All this other stuff is just fiat currency. They're just printed IOU nothings. And they have historically never succeeded for any true length of time. So, but gold has stood the test of time for over 5,000 years. And
absolutely,
we're seeing central banks buying gold like crazy right now.
They sure are.
Going on, folks. There is something going on, and you've got to. It's the best insurance policy you can own.
That is so true about the central banks. And one thing, William Youngerman, that you talk about that I think is absolutely amazing. And you've been in business since 1967, so you probably don't think it's as big of a deal as it is, because this is just how you do business. But one thing that you do is you will buy back anything that you sell to customers.
Absolutely, yes. Any sell, we are happy to buy back. We are always in the market, make a two-way market in all of the precious metals, rare coins, etc. And it's not like, you don't have a place to sell your precious metals or your rare coins or anything when it comes time to do so. You bring them right in, and it's as easy to sell as it is to buy them, maybe even easier.
Yeah, and that's a big deal, because I don't expect you to comment on this, but that is not the universal attitude in that type of business. William Youngerman is unique in that respect, more than you guys realize. So William Youngerman is open regular business hours today, and then it'll be back to business on Tuesday after today, I'm guessing, right? And you can also do business no matter where you are located over the phone. Even if you're local and you can't make it in to the shop in Boca, you should, though, because you'll be blown away at what you see on display, because William Youngerman, he has more than a coin shop. It is literally a museum, and anyone who stepped through the doors knows exactly what I mean. But you can do all your business over the phone. The number, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010. Online, WilliamYoungerman.com, and the address is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway, on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. And once you enter the building, William Youngerman is directly across from the bank in the lobby. All right, well, have a happy and safe New Year's, William Youngerman, and we'll talk next week.
Same to all of you. Thank you.
All right, back after this.
Warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on the air.
All right. Welcome back. I'm Brian. Stevie back with us? Okay. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Good morning.
Good morning. It's Doris.
Hey, Doris.
Hey, Doris. Hi, just Steve. Listen, man, I just wanted to call in and say God bless the two of you for all the good stuff you give us the whole year through. And also, I have to take the opportunity to praise God, because that's where our blessings come from, when we praise God. And Brian, I'm still telling you, you and your wife, get yourselves to Mass at least every Sunday, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and if you can, try and go every day. And God bless you. And Steve, all those little grandchildren, I hope they'll bring you much happiness.
Now, Doris, before you go, tell everybody how old you are again.
I'll be 94 on March the 21st.
Yes.
And you've been really kind of down on Governor DeSantis and Nikki Haley, and God loves mercy, and he really wants us to have mercy on each other. And I think of the other day I saw Bill Clinton on TV with his grandchildren, and even his wicked wife, what's her name?
Hildebeest. Yeah.
Hillary was there. They weren't holding hands, but they were together. So you see, God works in strange ways.
Well, at 90, let me tell you, I saw Bill Clinton too recently, and at your age of 94, I can't see what you look like. I haven't seen you in a while, Doris, but I promise you, you look younger than Bill Clinton. He looks awful. He really does. Oh yeah, he's a step ahead of President Carter. Looks worse, but but President Clinton looks yeah.
But still than all, he's walking and he's got grandchildren and he's got a smile on his face, and people aren't stoning him on the street, which they could.
Let me ask you this at 90. I'll ask you this at 94. This might be a weird question to ask, but I had a grandparent who was up in those eras that you're in, and they told me something, and I want to ask you if this is true with you or not. Okay, and this is what they told me. They felt like the world had changed so much. Everybody was gone. All their friends were gone. The technology they didn't understand it. Like if my grandparents were here and I showed them that you could pause live TV, they would think I was a witch or warlock. They would think it was witchcraft. Are you with that? Do you feel like you belong? Is the world moved so far ahead at the age of 94, or do you feel like you belong? Does that make sense?
Are you kidding? Do I feel like I belong? I have got, if you gave me 10 minutes, I'd like to hire your next 10 minutes when you're off the air.
Yeah.
I could tell people things that they should do to change the world. And I'm always thinking of, if God help me make it if I can do anything to make it a little bit better before I go.
Well, because I tell you, and I don't think I'm alone in this. When I see the changes in this country, there were things happening with the changes in this country, Doris, like all this gender stuff. I feel like I don't belong. I feel like I don't belong. And at my age, I'm almost half your age, and I feel that way. With what's going on, I feel out of place.
No. Can you remember back when you were first on the air?
Oh, yes.
They all were lined up with that prostitute who had been caught with the insurance man, the religious man. And,
Which one?
You know, Kathy Willis, right?
Oh yeah, Steve Kane's friends. Steve's friends. Yes, the Willises. Yes.
Well, Steve, we were all there, but I guess that Kathy Willis was complaining that she was going to have trouble doing her tax work because her husband was going to jail in a couple of.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Okay, her husband was sitting right next to her. Well, who's the lawyer that you mentioned his funeral the other day?
Norm Kent?
Not the big, tall, handsome guy.
Oh, Rich. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, you went to his grave the other day. You mentioned his grave. He's a lawyer. He got married to a woman with a 10-year-old boy late in life. He was always there. Steve's friend. Yeah, he had a show on your.
I really don't remember. I don't remember who you're talking. A lawyer who. A lawyer that had a show, and he married a woman with a 10-year-old.
He was tall and good looking, and anyway, he was sitting on the other side of her. Of Kathy, and he leans over to Kathy, says, Kathy, with a straight face yet, he says, I'd be more than willing to come over and help you prepare your tax return.
Oh, my goodness.
And her husband said, now, see, there's a fella who died too young because
I have no I have no idea who you're talking about, but I'm very curious. If anybody knows who Doris is talking about, let us know. I have no idea. I went to his grave.
Yes, you often talk about him.
Are you talking about Rick Siderman? You're talking about Rick Siderman?
That's it, Rick Siderman.
Oh, he wasn't a lawyer. That's what threw me off, Rick Siderman.
Oh, I thought he was an attorney.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, anyway, that was the funniest thing. I thought, there's a man who's got everything to live for, and he died.
Yes.
So that's why I tell everybody, please, give God thanks.
That's right. All right. Hey, Doris. All right, Doris. Good to hear from you. We'll talk soon. Yeah, Rick Siderman, he got buried next to basically a junkyard, Steve. I mean, my goodness. Rick Siderman. Rick Siderman, he was, those that remember Rick Siderman, he had a speech impediment. And he was he was on the air, and he talked like this. Rick Siderman was here. You remember that? And if you think I'm not nice to callers, oh boy.
Polite and never understood fully, but great guy.
Yeah, he was.
Before we had our living trust thing, he was my lawyer put together my first living trust, and he really messed it up
by making him the trustee, and he died. He was the first trustee on Steve's trust that died. Yeah. All right. We only have a minute left, but so be quick. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes. 30 seconds.
Hi, this is Ingrid. I just want from Colorado Springs. I just want to wish you, Steve, and all your family members a healthy, happy, and safe 24.
Well, thank you. All right, let's take one more. I probably shouldn't, because this could be the last call of the year. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Dave from Melbourne.
All right.
Anyways.
15 seconds.
Had one quick thought. This will be really quick. It's a good way to end the show. That guy that was calling in about Finkelstein, I think he was trying to talk about Dianne Feinstein, who, of course...
I know who he was talking about. But he didn't know who he didn't know who he was talking about, right?
Anything.
All right.
He's a definite well-information voter. Happy New Year, guys. See you next year.
All right. Okay, that's it. All right, we're out of time for today. We'll see you next week. I'm Brian Steve Kane here. Have a happy New Year.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar, WIRK 103.1
All right,
HD3
guys.
Indian.
I will see you over the weekend, of course. Make sure you subscribe if you're new and like the video, everyone. And I will most definitely see you guys over the weekend.